Our next guest, she is a nutrition coach and the founder of Nutrition with Ken, a faith-rooted movement helping women create healthy, sustainable relationships with food. Kinley empowers her clients to break free from unhealthy cycles and walks alongside each client on their journey. Give it up for Kinley!
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kinley. Yeah, so give us a fun fact about yourself.
I love to cook. I have loved to cook since I was probably way too young to know how to cook. So put it that way.
What's your favorite dish to cook?
My grandmother's meatloaf recipe and banana bread, homemade.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. I remember us talking before this interview. You said as a kid there were things you was always health conscious compared to the other kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about that experience, especially like I know like in the 90s, it was so many sugary commercials and things happening and everybody wanted to be invested into that. How was that experience for you?
So, I love to cook and I would always grow up and see people eating all these enjoyable foods. I love cookies, I love baking. I was like, okay, well, if people are eating these kind of foods, there's got to be a way we can make them that are not going to, make us feel like trash, or we end up just having no energy after, the sugar high and you come down the crash. So I would always get in the kitchen, I'd start experimenting. And that led to, me figuring out ways and recipes to create that are going to give us the energy that we need to do and go about throughout our days without crashing and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to like nutrition, how does that play a role in like physical health?
You cannot have one without the other. You can't have physical health without a sense of spiritual, mental, emotional health as well. I think once we really understand that, we go about it from trying to be physically fit, and that's totally fine. We want to look good, we want to feel good. But when we are not also nurturing our mental state and our emotional state, we cannot sustain, even if we do lose the weight. We all know, and anybody that's done a weight loss journey knows that getting the weight off is not necessarily the hard part. It's keeping it off.
Yeah.
If we do these drastic diets and 40-day cleanses, and they're all great, they get us to a point. But what happens at the end? How can we create a diet plan or a rotation of nutrition that's going to keep us at our goal? And that's the biggest thing I focus on with helping my clients get to the weight or the body style they desire. Not just about the body style, but the mindset. They desire to be able to maintain those goals when they get there.
Yeah. Now with that, for you on your journey, when did you kind of realize that basically like your nutrition translates with your mind, body, and spirit? Because I know in society they try to separate the two or make it seem like one doesn't affect the other. But for you on your journey, when did you realize that kind of all translates?
Actually, it was when I was in the best shape of my life, to be honest with you. I was at the gym probably about 3 or 4 hours a day, and I had no time for anything else. I was failing in my schooling. My priorities were just completely misaligned. I also had struggled with binge eating, or emotional eating. It's just where you're feeding yourself to, not have to deal with the realities of life. People would look at me and say, you look great. What are you doing? What's your tips? And I couldn't tell them. I was dying inside. I couldn't look at them in the face and be like, well, here's the recipe. You look at yourself, you don't like what you see. You go home and you're depressed. You're going through struggles. I couldn't look at them and tell them that. So I would say, working out, eating right, just the blase type stuff. But it really got to a point where I got real about my faith, and it goes to that deeper level of, Jesus had to become a real person in my life. He couldn't just be something I did on Sundays. It had to be a real relationship, a real faith. And when you acknowledge him in that way, you invite him into the journey. It's like, okay, Lord, I want to live a healthier lifestyle. Yes, I know that I look great on the outside, but the inside state, I need it to match what you say is in this word. And I believe your word is true. Yeah. So help me. And I invited him into that space of nutrition and health. And it's really encouraged me to pour back into women, not just women, but people of all, to help them find a balance between mental, emotional, and physical health.
Now, the one thing I love about you, Kinley, is how you bring that integration of faith and nutrition. I feel like that's something that separates you from probably the competitors or whatnot. How did you come up with that mission when it came to nutrition with him?
Nutrition, as a standpoint, had the saying, "You are what you eat," right? Yeah. So the more I consumed of his word, the more I consumed of healthier foods, the more I consumed of community and people around me. Not only did my appetite for what I ate change, but the appetite for what I ate, as in like the spiritual aspect changed. This is completely left field, but what you feed yourself, even with our music, when I'm listening if I'm listening to Biggie, I'm a 90s girl. I love Biggie or the raps and gangsta and all that kind of stuff. You listen to that kind of stuff, that's not necessarily going to fuel where I'm trying to go as a whole person. So when my music taste changed, I really started understanding the power of what we say, in belief in the power of belief doing so. A lot of times people won't start a health journey or initiative because they don't believe in themselves. And they don't understand the power of the words that they even have to say. So when you say, I can't stop doing this, or I can't get that up, you're only affirming that which you actually do have the power to change. But when we say things over ourselves, when we speak death over ourselves, we can't come into agreement with death, or we're going to continually see that when it shows up. Also, your circle of accountability. I had to change the people I hung out with. The people that did not believe in my goals, the people that would always have pushback when I wanted to eat the healthier foods, or wanted to go to church, or I didn't want to go to a club, or didn't want to go to those things. It came to a point where I had to make the hard decisions. We have to welcome sacrifice, because it's going to be on the other side of that sacrifice that we walk into our best selves and the life that Christ really wants us to live. And you're going to find more fulfillment in giving those things up than if we had stayed doing the things that were killing us on the inside.
Yeah. Man, that's so awesome. And I messed up the name. Nutrition with Ken, not Ken.
It's okay.
Just want to make sure I correct that. Now, of course, love the intersection of faith and nutrition. Now, there had to be an educational point about it where, okay, telling people to exercise, telling people to eat right, but then it was also restrictions and recommendations.
Right.
You came to getting educated about that. What are some dietary recommendations you would like to give to people when it comes to optimal wellness?
I always say prioritize whole foods as much and as often as you can prioritize that. Eliminates the guessing games. When we get into the nutrition bars and nutrition shakes, not that those things are bad on themselves, but you get into a lot more ingredients. Are they clean? Are they not clean? Are they going to keep me full? They have dyes and all the other things that you have to assess nowadays. You don't know what they put in those kind of foods. Prioritizing protein. If you have a goal, I don't like to say goal weight, because once you're lifting weights and eating certain ways, your body recomps in different ways. But prioritizing that protein, I recommend about 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight a day. That's not for everybody, but I also lift heavy several times a week, and I'm in the gym consistently on a consistent basis. And prioritizing your water intake, reducing as much added sugars as you can. A lot of people will drink their calories or liquid calories, and that's a big downfall that people don't realize, because you're not getting full off that. You drink a Coke, you're like, all right, let me go get my meal. Well, you've already started off your meal with 200, 300, 400 calories, depending on your glass of Coke. When we cut those things out, I've told clients to do nothing else but go on a 15-minute walk and cut liquid calories, and I've seen them lose 10 pounds in a month, just from no other nutritional guidance, just from cutting out the liquid calories and going more and getting their steps in.
Man, okay, that definitely there's just a lot to take in right there. Where can people find you or contact you when it comes to resources, even to have a nutritional consultation?
Okay, so my Instagram is Nutrition with Ken, K-I-N, like President McKinley with no Mick. And I have a link in my bio. You can go in and sign up for a free consult, and that just lets me know who you are, and we can talk about some of your goals and see if you'd be interested in working with me.
Yeah. Kinley, y'all give it up for her.